Well, today I'm going to be reviewing a really neat Bible. This is a new translation for me, and it's actually quite a new translation, so I plan to talk about this more in an upcoming video in my Bible translation series. This is the Net Bible, the New English Translation. So this is the box here. This is the full notes edition, and it is a genuine leather brown color Bible. So we'll look at that, but let me just show you the back of the box here to give you a little overview. A New English Translation is the newest complete translation of the Bible into English. Clear and readable, elegant and accurate, the NET was produced by a team of the world's leading biblical scholars working from the best available manuscripts. The unparalleled set of more than 60,000 translation notes documents every major translation decision. You can trust the net to give you the full picture. And then just overview here, you've got the features which include translator notes, study notes, and text critical notes. It does say that it's line matched, 8 3/4 point font, and then a 7 3/4 point notes, as well as a durable Smyth-sewn binding. It's also about 2,450 pages, and pretty neat that they were able to get so much packed into really a reasonable sized Bible here. I measured this to be about 9.5 by a little less than 6 3/4 and 2 inches in thickness. So close to 2,500 pages. It's a lot like a typical study Bible like I have here in terms of its size, and a similar amount of pages too. In terms of the make of this Bible, as I said, this is the brown genuine leather cover. So it is not what you would call a premium leather Bible, but it is genuine leather. It is a paste down liner. It does have perimeter stitching. As you can see, it maybe has a tendency to scratch a bit easily because it's just so smooth. And here on the side we have the Net Bible stamping, full notes edition, and this is the logo. So this is produced by Thomas Nelson, and I believe it came out in 2019, last year, as of this recording, and they've done a good job producing this Bible and putting out some good editions. It also has this gold gilding on the side here. It's more of a matte finish. Reminds me of the NKJV thin line that I reviewed before, the youth edition thin line. And then we've got 3 really nice ribbons here. Nelson's been doing a great job with their ribbons on all their Bibles. And this looks like it has a satin sheen on both sides. So there's red, and then you have gold, and then you have this nice blue ribbon as well. So the make of the Bible overall, I would say, is above average, and for a study Bible in the $60 to $70 range is typically what I think you can get this for. It's pretty good make. Now, as far as the translation itself here, one thing that I've noticed is that it is not the most literal translation, but it does have a lot of notes about the choices they made in the translation, and so that really allows you to get a lot of transparency there. You really understand why they made some of the choices that they did. Another interesting facet of this translation is what it says here to the reader under Ministry First. One more reason to love the Net. Modern Bible translations are typically copyrighted, posing a challenge for ministries hoping to quote more than a few passages in their Bible study resources, curriculum, or other programming. But the Net is for everyone, with Ministry First copyright innovations that encourage ministries to quote and share the life-changing message of Scripture as freely as possible. In fact, one of the major motivations behind the creation of the Net was the desire to ensure that ministries had unfettered access to a top-quality modern Bible translation without needing to embark on a complicated process of securing permissions. So that's neat. It's really kind of like an open source form of Bible translation, and I think that's a good description of the Net Bible. So let me give you a taste of the translation here. We're in Psalm 23, which is very well known. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He takes me to lush pastures. He leads me to refreshing water. So just in those examples there, those verses, I think you see some nice word choices. Not necessarily the most literal, but really helps bring out in English some of the picture of what's being said there in the original language. And even though it's not as literal, you do get notes that tell you why they chose to word things in the way that they did. So I would say this Bible is such a great complement to a lot of other Bibles that are out there. As you can see, it's just such extensive notes, from the translator notes to some of the study notes they have in there, textual critical notes. This is a good thing if you're into Bible study and you want to understand what's behind the English translation more. So for pastors, for diligent students who really want to dig into the Word and have something to compare with the other translations that they're using, I think this is a really good Bible. Now, the beginning of the Bible, we do have a presentation page. It's on a little bit thicker paper, which is nice and very clean look. Very nice. And then there's the title page. Copyright information. Yeah, this is 2019 when this Nelson edition was done. They do give information from the Net Bible team to the reader. They give an introduction to the New English translation. They tell you about the features of the Net Bible, the translator's notes, the presentation, the design, the textual basis, and the Net Bible translation team. And here is the team, and this might be interesting to people, so I'm just going to go through this so you can see who's part of that team that helped put this translation together. So a lot of people part of that team that put all of this together, and when I do my translation series video, I'll talk more about the details of how this translation was produced. But again, Nelson did a great job. They've branded this with this insignia here, so it just kind of has the idea of dialogue, the idea of hearing people talk about something, and this translation is tied in with the rise of the internet. So it's a neat logo that goes with all that. The font in this, it says that the Net Bible Full Notes Edition is presented in Thomas Nelson's exclusive NET typeface, created especially for the New English translation by 2K Denmark. Recognizing that the net represents a true Renaissance in Bible translation, the designers looked to the Renaissance time period for inspiration. While the letter forms reflect the aesthetic and stylistic development characteristic of Renaissance typography, the overall typeface proportions benefit from the very best in modern typographic technology. The result is a typeface that embodies the net's clarity and elegance, and immediately communicates this translation's blend of scholarly excellence, beauty, and faithfulness to the sources. This font was produced by 2K Denmark to really reflect the nature of how this translation came to be and what it represents. And so they tied it in with the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, but they also use some modern aspects to this font. So you really get something that's a blend of traditional and modern, which is what 2K Denmark is really known for. It is good size, close to 9-point, line match, single column. The notes on the side here, both sides, as well as the bottom of the text. So sometimes you have pages where it's mostly notes, and there's an example there where you have a lot of notes on each page. But I have noticed in reading this some that the font is very easy to read. It is not too much show through, although there is some show through. The way that this is printed, I just find is very easy on the eyes, considering how thin the pages are. So this is an example of how the New Testament quotes the Old Testament in this Bible. It says, Isaiah prophesied correctly about you hypocrites. As it is written, this people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. They worship me in vain, teaching as doctrine the commandments of men. So if you have an Old Testament quote in the New Testament, you'll see it's in italics and bold. So kind of like the New King James, which has italics, and like the Christian Standard Bible, which has bold for these Old Testament quotes, it does both. And then you see another Old Testament quote here from the Ten Commandments, honor your father and your mother. So this Bible is just really formatted nicely. The notes are more focused on textual things, unlike other study Bibles, which focus on background and author and things more of a general nature. This is really focused on the translation of the Bible from the original languages into English. So again, it's such a good study tool to have along with other Bibles. It does a good job of giving you a translation that is more dynamic, but they give you the reasons for why they translated. And in the notes, you will see a lot of reference to what the text literally says in the original language. So if you are sensitive to, I want to know what the original says, this Bible will give you that. So maybe a little bit more like an NIV, but with explanation of the original texts that are being translated. So that's some really good aspects to this. Anyway, that is my review of the Net Bible, and I hope that you enjoyed watching this. I'd love to answer any questions that you might have. And thank you so much for watching this Bible review brought to you from a First Perspective.